Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the lessons this year, asking Jesus to clarify for me as I've done in the past. And then I write from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. I'm looking at lesson 350. Miracles mirror God's eternal love. To offer them is to remember Him, and through His memory to save the world. What we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. The Son of God incorporates all things within Himself as you created Him. Your memory depends on His forgiveness. What He is unaffected by His thoughts, but what He looks upon is their direct result. Therefore, my Father, I would turn to you. Only your memory will set me free, and only my forgiveness teaches me to let your memory return to me and give it to the world in thankfulness. And as we gather miracles from Him, we will indeed be grateful. For as we remember Him, His Son will be restored to us in the reality of love. I offer a miracle when I respond with love rather than attack. In this way, I teach innocence rather than guilt. And as I forgive, I welcome the other into my heart. I see her as part of me, and I begin to remember who we are as part of God. Forgiveness is the way we remember ourselves, and the way we remember God. It's the way we return home. And to do so, we must hold no one outside our forgiveness. That is why it makes no sense to hold a grievance. Here's something that used to happen to me. One of my children would say something that I interpreted as an insult. I would feel offended. And then, even if I didn't confront him or her directly, I would generally find a way to express my hurt. There was no upside to this kind of thinking. We would both feel guilt and thus reinforce a belief in guilt. Now I don't do that. I'm not even tempted to do that. I studied A Course in Miracles and practiced it long enough to understand this harmful dynamic. If one of them says something that could be interpreted as an attack, I see it differently. I see it as a call for love, so I give love. Anything else would not make sense. Responding to attack with love is offering a miracle. And honestly, I never sense an attack from them anymore. I think it was only my sense of unworthiness I was seeing coming at me. If I attack or defend, I push the other away. Even if this occurs only in my mind, it still costs me the memory of self and of God. We are one in our reality, but experiencing ourselves as separate obscures our vision. Forgiveness restores vision, and oneness becomes all we see. My part is to desire forgiveness, and the Holy Spirit undoes the unforgiveness for me. It is a miracle in the truest sense when this happens. There was a time when I was holding a grievance against a fellow employee. It seemed hard to let it go because I kept interpreting all his words and actions to mean that he really was my problem. Eventually, of course, I turned it around so that I was looking at my own mind. What I understood was that it was my thoughts that were the real problem. I also saw that I wanted peace of mind more than I wanted to be right. At that moment, my mind was healed. It was amazing. Since then, I have been gathering miracles from God and giving them away as fast as I can. I want to remember the Son, and this is how my memory is restored. This is the sentence I was directed to this morning. It is a key to this lesson. What we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. As I forgive, a miracle occurs and love takes the place of the grievance. That love is now part of me as God created me. The miracle continues to bless as the memory of God draws closer with each miracle I give and thus receive. I think of all the grievances I have forgiven in my life, and I am so filled with gratitude as I realize that this has drawn me so much closer to the memory of God. This is a way my memory is set free, and it's the only way. There is no grievance of such import that I would keep it instead of the memory of God. And this is a past entry. Miracles are like God's eternal love. We give miracles as we forgive, and as we forgive, we remember who we are. As we remember who we are, we save the world, because what we know, everyone knows. The world is made up of our grievances, and we have to undo this. That is what is meant by saving the world. Once we have undone our judgments and freed the world to reflect the love that we actually are, God will take that last step and raise us up to Him. All through the Course, Jesus tells us that we are one with our brothers. And here He tells us how we return our awareness to that oneness. He says that what we forgive becomes a part of us as we perceive ourselves. So to know our unity with all that is, we must forgive all that is. That makes perfect sense when I think about it. If I'm angry with someone, it's like I pushed him away. My anger becomes a wall that keeps us apart. When I forgive that anger and let it go, there's nothing to prevent union with that brother. Jesus says the world is only a reflection of our thoughts projected outward. If I hate my thoughts, the hatred is a wall that prevents union, and forgiveness is a miracle that dissolves that barrier. Here's an example of this. There was someone else at work that I used to hate. I hated everything about him. I just wanted him to be somewhere else, which is my civilized desire for murder. My hatred was making me miserable, but no matter what I did in the world to negate that hatred, I failed. Finally, it came to my senses. I remembered that the hatred was not about him or what he did, but was in my mind. I took that hatred to the Holy Spirit, and at my request, He undid it. The miracle made it possible for me to love this person who just a day before I hated. The miracle undid the barrier between us, and we became instant friends, and are friends even today. He didn't change his behavior, and I didn't change mine. It was my change of mind that allowed the miracle to occur. The behavior I had judged in the past no longer irritated me. The miracle in this case was dramatic and was a lesson I never forgot. I never see him anymore, but when I think of him, I feel our unity. Freedom comes with remembering who I am. I cannot remember who I am without remembering who you are, because we're part of each other. If I am projecting my guilt onto you, I will not remember who I am. I want to remember who I am so that I can remember God and my place in Him. So I'm highly motivated to release all grievances. It doesn't matter if it's a grievance against another person or against a situation. All of the world is my grievance. And so all of the world must be forgiven and set free if I'm to be set free. Thank you so much for joining me in this lesson. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you found it helpful, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.